part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another edition of the Red Guy and Rhoda podcast, powered by MGM Northfield Park, right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Shout out to our fantabulous producer, Ty Courts, making sure all of you hear this out there in the podcastosphere. And Michael Red Guy, always great to catch up with you, my friend. And another football season in the NFL is officially over. And the Kansas City Chiefs, for the second time in the last 4 years, victorious in Super Bowl 57, a thriller 38-35 over the favored Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, Kenny, it was a little bit of a surprise to me. The game began in the first half just as I kind of felt it would. I picked Philly. I thought when you look at the two rosters that, in my mind, and especially on in the trenches, both ways, that the offensive and defensive lines favored Philadelphia. And that's why I felt that, that they were going to win that football game. And, credit to the Kansas City Chiefs. Kenny, I thought Andy Reid was tremendous. I don't think that even a lot of NFL prognosticators understand how good that Andy Reid is at play calling and taking advantage of whom his team plays, the opposition defenses, and what that he can do, with it, and just flat out drawing things up. I mean, X's and O's. There's no other way to say it. And he did it again yesterday. And the one thing that surprised me, Ken, the fact that, again, it's not that they're poor, the Kansas City offensive line I'm talking about. But I thought, when you look at 4 different guys with Philadelphia this year with 10+ sacks,
yep.
I thought a decided edge there was Philly. Big reason why, as I said a moment ago, I picked them to win the game. And Kenny, that offensive line for Kansas City kept Patrick Mahomes clean. And I thought that was the way it unfolded, that was a huge factor in the game.
I agree with you, Reg. I was telling our producer, Ty Courts, before the podcast started here tonight that for the first time I wagered a little bit legally on the game, right?
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before the playoffs started, you can bet on futures, right? Who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. So I went in and I got these apps where they were giving you free bets, right? So you could win some money. You have to give back what you bet from them, but you take the winnings on top of that, right? So I figured, you know what? I'll take 50 out of this, 4 bets of 50 and pick 4 teams, to win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So, and the odds obviously are better when the playoffs are about to start. And so I went Buffalo, I went Cincinnati, I went Kansas City, and I went Philadelphia.
Okay.
I figured one of those 4 teams was going to win the Super Bowl, right? So yesterday I got 2 teams in there. I'm winning either way, right? So that part did. But then I figured, you know what? That's money in the bank already. Then I started betting on some little, some parlays.
Prop bets.
Prop bets. 2-leggers, 3-leggers, 4-leggers. I did a 5-legger and God Miles Sanders killed me. I hit the first 4 legs of that parlay, man. And all I needed was Sanders to get in the end zone, and he is MIA yesterday, missing in action. So he pissed me off. But so I did okay. But as I was watching it, Reg, it was a different perspective for me. And like you said, that first half, wow. I mean, Philadelphia dominated that first half. But what I was concerned with at the end of the first half, Reg, they dominated time of possession, yardage, and yet they were only up a touchdown and a field goal because Hurts put that ball on the turf, scoop and score. That is a play that's not getting talked about enough, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree with you.
Because that was ginormous for the Kansas City Chiefs because their offense only put 7 points up on the board because Butker missed a field goal in the first half. So while they dominated, I thought the Eagles should have had at least a 14 or 17 point lead instead of 10. And as we saw the last time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, what did they do in the second half, Reg? They made halftime adjustments, even though Peyton Manning said there ain't no halftime adjustments. Bullshit. That extra 15 minutes of, Rihanna doing her thing up there yesterday, they used those 15 minutes, Andy Reid and the guys did, because they came out, they went touchdown, 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 and they didn't need a touchdown on their last possession. All they needed was a field goal to win the game. And you're right. Andy Reid, sorry, Nick Sirianni. Welcome to the National Football League and what it's like to coach in the Super Bowl. Andy Reid and his staff coached the pants off of Nick Sirianni and the Eagles in that second half. And the fact that they had 0 sacks was mind-boggling to me as well, Reg.
Yeah, and look, Andy Reid carved it up, man, and that's what I mean. I don't think that this man, gets the just due from whether it's those who cover the National Football League or just the fan bases. Right. Because he, Kenny, I'm almost ready to call him. He's an offensive genius now. I mean, he may not always have the top-notch talent on the field that particular game, given whom he may be playing. But you can't. I'll let him run my offense and dial everything up for me anytime you want. I'll go into it with Andy Reid, and I'll feel pretty damn good about it because. Well, he's understated, Kenny, and, he doesn't run his mouth a whole hell of a lot. But, I mean, look now, he's, he's been big time, right? As far as, and who knows, he may win another couple of more, as we know. Now, it's all about winning Super Bowls, whether you're a player, you're a coach, or you get called, let's be honest now, you mentioned a guy already. Well, to me, and I know when he won one late, but Peyton Manning's Mr. Regular Season.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? He's got a losing record in the playoffs.
Yep.
Well, you through his career. So, you can tell me all you want, but my bottom line is, do you win? And that's why I said, now there's this conversation. I don't know if you want to start it about, Patrick Mahomes is the most talented quarterback that was skill-wise, physically, that we have in the NFL. But is he going to win 7 like Brady did? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I don't think that's ever going to be done. But if anybody can do it, maybe Mahomes will get close. But, Kenny, come to me when somebody's got 5, okay? And then they still need 2 more. But, again, is he a better talent? But Tom Brady is the winningest quarterback that's ever played the game and the will to win. Bar none. He's won 7 Super Bowls. Nobody else had more than 4, correct? So does Montana have?
No, he's got 4.
4. So it's 7.
Young got the other one for them.
Yeah, but so to me, there's a difference between. Patrick Mahomes is without question. To me, he's the most elite, skilled quarterback that we have in the game now. Now, can he translate that into winning more and more NFL championships? Wouldn't surprise me if he does, because again, him and Reid, man, that's a lethal combination together.
Yeah, that's a nice dynamic duo right there, Batman and Robin.
And by the way, they're in the AFC like the Browns are. So yeah.
Reg, 2 plays yesterday offensively blew my mind, and this goes to Andy Reid: play calling, play design, play execution. They call them pivot plays. Look like a jet sweep. Guy goes in motion, right?
Yep.
Pivots and comes back. And I want to say the first one went to Tony, a 5-yard touchdown pass.
Kadarius Toney.
To the right side. They came back. They ran the exact same play, but they did it from the left side. And this time it was Sky Moore scoring his first ever NFL touchdown in the Super Bowl on the exact same play. And the Eagles, they had no idea how to defend this. Those guys walked in uncontested. Yep. Unbelievable play call, design, execution in the biggest game of the year. And to me, that's coaching right there. That's looking at that film at halftime and saying, all right, what do we got to do? Hey, let's show them motion. They're going to overcommit. We do the pivot, come back, and you guys can crawl into the end zone and do what you want. Those play calls and execution were things of beauty yesterday, Reg.
Yeah, no question about it. Just that Philly defense. And again, which has been one of the, certainly top 5 in the NFL all year long. They were just flummoxed. I mean, they made so many coverage mistakes, but Kenny, you just said it. and you're right on it. More than physical mistakes, Reed just tore them apart between the ears. I mean, Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. Hell, I called Sky Moore's games when he was a Western Michigan Bronco. Wow. Playing in the Mid-American Conference. And those two guys, that's the one thing. You look at Kansas City. I mean, do they really have a number one, what you'd call a one as a receiver?
Yeah, his name's Travis Kelce. He's a tight end.
Yeah, you're right. He's a tight end. You're absolutely right. A wide receiver, do they have a guy who really is a one?
No.
No, they don't. And yet Andy Reid just schemes it up better than anybody going. That's why I said a minute ago, I'll take him, and you can have all the rest of them that call plays in the NFL, and I'll ride, and if I got to die, I'll die with Andy Reid.
Amen. I'm with you right there right now. Best coach in the league. 4 Super Bowls, I think, as a head coach. 1 with Philly, 3 now with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's
Correct.
2-2 in 4 Super Bowls. So 500 in the Super Bowls, I'll take that. That's okay with that.
Hell yeah, that's big time. That's what people don't understand. Well, listen, Kenny, I think we know. And look, it's hard to win Super Bowl championships consistently. To me, you win 2 in a 6-7 year span.
Yeah.
That's enormous. That's like that is like, to me, it almost defies description if a team is able to do that. Absolutely. You get there. So what? Mahomes has been to five conference championship games now.
Yep.
He won 2, right?
Yep.
The one a couple years ago, they got undressed by Brady in his first year with
Actually
Tampa.
won 3, Rich, because they lost
that's right.
in the Super Bowl to
he
Tampa.
You're right. He lost. That's right. I was just explaining it. You're right. Won 3 AFC championships. Yeah, a couple years ago, Brady and Tampa Bay took them apart. And that's fine. But so Mahomes himself is 2-1 now, right? As far as Super Bowls go. And I mean, again, as far as quarterback skills, I just don't think there's anybody better.
I'll go to bat with him like you will with Reed, and you can have any other quarterback you want in the league. Go ahead, take your pick of the other 31 teams.
I got you.
He's now that Brady's gone. Okay, and is supposed. Let me rephrase that. Now that Brady has supposedly finally called it quits.
He's done now.
Rich, where'd he grow up?
You don't believe it? Okay.
Where'd he grow up? California, right?
Yeah, sure.
What's the one thing the 49ers are lacking? A quarterback. I'm sorry. Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, they ain't winning a Super Bowl with either one of those quarterbacks. They're not.
Okay.
But
yeah, I know.
You let the off season rolls through, you get into training camp, and those guys aren't feeling real good. You know what? Even into the season, you try and convince Tom to come out and retire. That's the only thing. The only way I think he comes back is if San Francisco comes to calling, because he grew up rooting for the Niners.
Yeah, he did. Right.
And you know what? If he only has to prepare for 3 months or something like that, and he stays in good shape. Now we'll know by the way he takes care of himself or not, in this retirement period, if there's any chance of him coming back. But I guess when you get a contract that's worth more than what you got when you were playing in the NFL to be a broadcaster, maybe you won't come out of retirement. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
Yeah, but that's I heard that's not until 2024. He's supposed to be just taking a year off.
Well, then that's even another reason why he's coming back.
Well,
for one more go at it.
Okay, we'll have that. You and I'll bet a milkshake on that. I think he means it this time. I think he's done. The reason I think it is because his kids and, realizing that if I keep playing, his son is playing football now, his oldest. Okay. So I think that all plays a part in it, but I can understand those that are skeptical. Yeah.
Well, Reg, you know how competitive Tom is, right? And
the most competitive.
Right. Watching that game yesterday and seeing that happen again, right? Oh, they're going to forget about me already. It's already Mahomes. He's the face of the NFL. I'm just saying, I'm leaving that door open just a little bit in case Tom wants to come walking through with the 49ers.
I hear you. Now, all that having been said, though, real quickly, and we can go out and get our first break on this. Yesterday, too, that wasn't on Jalen Hurts.
No.
He had the one Yes, he dropped the ball. I think he was looked like he was running, like in college, if he was just running a quarterback sweep to keep the football and just drop the football. Now that cost him 7, right? And so, but he was phenomenal too. He was tremendous yesterday in the way he played. So that's one good thing, regardless of who you're rooting for. I think if you're being honest, you had 2 premium quarterback performances in that game yesterday.
Yeah, and thank you, Jalen Hurts and Travis Kelce, for each scoring a touchdown. That was a winner.
Oh, that was part of your parlay.
And thank you, Jalen Hurts, for scoring 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
I jumped on that, too. After he got to 2, you could throw some cash down on that. So an interesting perspective yesterday, watching it for the first time with a little skin in the action there, and a fun Super Bowl. Last thing, Reg, and then we'll go to break, Ty. The pass interference penalty, or excuse me, defensive holding. Okay. Yeah. By the letter of the law, right call. However, watching that game, and you realize there were no offensive holding calls on either team. There were no other pass interference, maybe one other holding call, but no pass. Yep. I can't call that right there. To me, it wasn't enough to throw Schuster off his route, and the ball wasn't going to be catched. Now, I know the guy officiating there doesn't know the ball's not going to be catched, but still, I just can't call that right there after letting it go for the first 58 minutes of the game. I know by the letter of the law it was a penalty, right?
Yep.
But they didn't call a lot of those all game long, and that's why I was a little disappointed at the yellow flag that flew.
No, you're on it. I feel exactly the same way because you hadn't called anything all game long. Yeah. So, and don't tell me there weren't a couple of other PIs that could have been called.
Right.
Because there were both ways. And for whatever reason, again, officials, they don't like to say that, but I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. Hey, let's just let them play. Don't be physical. Unless somebody gets absolutely pulled down,
right.
by a receiver gets horse collared and pulled down by a DB. Let's just let they want to be physical. We're going to let it be physical. And then so, no, I didn't like the call. I'm with you. Was it a hold? Yeah, it was. But don't try to tell me that there weren't probably 4 or 5 others of the same ilk that you decided to, you being the officiating crew, you didn't call through the first 59 minutes. So, yes, to me that no, if you're going to start a game one way, not start it, go through a whole game and decide you're going to let the fellas play, which I'm all for, by the way. I'm very cool with that. But then you don't call that then.
Do you realize, Reg, the Kansas City Chiefs did not have one penalty called on them in the entire second half?
Well, there you go.
Not single one.
There you go.
And 2 on the Eagles prior to that one in the second half. And you call that at the most crucial time of the game. So would have been fun to see what Jalen Hurts might have done if he had the ball back there, and
we might have got an overtime.
Yeah, exactly. And with the new rules, would have been fun to see. All right, that's going to do it. That puts a bow on the NFL season of 2022. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid, Super Bowl champs once again. When we come back, Reg, we got to start now. The football season is over. 20 games are left in the Cavaliers season. And after their win tonight, while we were taping this over the San Antonio Spurs, the Cavaliers are now 38-22 on the year. And we'll tell you why we call them the Spurs when we come back and dive into the trades they didn't make, the free agent that they signed, and their chance of moving forward into the playoffs this year when the R&R podcast continues right here on the Press Play Podcast Network, powered by MGM Northfield Park.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tybus, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, I'm Gary.
And I'm Jason. Opening cards as a kid, no matter what was in the pack, you always had that stick of chewing gum. Well, it turns out Gary and I opened up a box of 86 Tops last year, and let me tell you, the chewing gum does not age well.
Join us on the Ball Card Show,
the sports podcast for the sports collector.
And we continue with the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Shout out to our title sponsor, MGM Northfield Park. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday evening with a 6 p.m. post time. Wager and win daily on top thoroughbred and harness tracks from around the world with action starting around 12 noon. Love that. Plus, enter to play the free handicapping contest every Sunday for a chance to win some cold hard cash. Top prize there, $500. Registration for that begins at 11 a.m. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. And as we were going to break, Reg, great memories of you and I covering the 2007 NBA Finals between the LeBron James-led Cleveland Cavaliers and Timmy and the boys from San Antonio known as the Spurs.
Quite the place down there, right?
Oh, we had a great time down there, Reg. And we tell the story all the time when we're talking Spurs. You had been there many, many times calling the action. I had not been to the Alamo Dome. And I walk in there to set up our show at 3 o'clock when we were doing the K&R thing. And they're going through like their pregame routine and practicing all the stuff they do. And I hear this PA announcer announcing players' names. The starting lineup for your San Antonio Spurs. And
it's very good, by the way.
That's
extremely good. You have them down pat, 100%.
And I looked at you and I'm like, oh, is that just like the guy that, they use for warm-ups here?
No.
And that's what you said.
No.
You said, no, that's the guy. He does the PA announcing for the Spurs. And I couldn't.
You never heard the P,
no.
right?
Oh,
and Spurs.
Yeah. And it was, and so we get there for the broadcast of our show, and then we take it right into the pregame, and here come, the starting lineup for your Spurs. And forward, man. No, I couldn't believe this guy. And you know what? They loved him. He was a legend there in San Antonio. He was kind of like Myron Cope was to the Pittsburgh Steelers fans, right?
Sure.
Unique, one of a kind. And so tonight, it wasn't in San Antonio. It was in Cleveland. The final for the Cavaliers, 117-109. Donovan Mitchell with his sixth 40-point game of the season. He drops 41 on the Spurs, and the Cavaliers improved to 38-22. Good for fourth place, Reg, in the Eastern Conference with one game left before the All-Star break. And that one game, how about this? Wednesday night at Philadelphia, who they trail by one game for third place in the Eastern Conference. This is a hell of a start for the Cavaliers. I shouldn't say start. We're 60 games in, so a hell of a season so far.
Yeah, 38-22. Donovan Mitchell is, some nights he's just otherworldly. I mean, he is the ultimate of what they just used to call in the league, Kenny, a flat-out scorer, man. He's going to find ways to put the ball in the hole. Now, there are times he'll, I wouldn't call him a pure shooter. To me, he's just more of a guy that knows how to, again, beat defenders, play angles, and use his upper body, Ken, especially to get buckets. And you and I have been around together long enough. You know I love that kind of player. And that's exactly what Donovan Mitchell is. So, I enjoy watching him a hell of a lot. Do the Cavaliers – I think a lot's going to depend on matchups, Ken, if you want to get there when we talk about playoff time. They're going to, they're going to get there. It'd be great now. Brooklyn, by the way, Brooklyn got beat again tonight. The New York Knicks put it on them. So I don't know. I'd love to see the Cavaliers be able to grab that for sure, that 4 seed. Who knows, Ken? Maybe. Well, to me, in some order, Boston, Philly, Milwaukee are going to be 1, 2, 3. I don't see. I don't know how you feel, but I don't see any of them falling out of those spots. Of course, unless they have some major injuries. But other than that, I think those are your top 3, but there's no damn reason why the Cavaliers can't grab that 4 seed. Why not? I mean, who are the teams right around them and behind them? The Miami Heat?
Yep.
I think they got beat tonight again, too. You can look at it. I think Denver got them. The New York Knicks having the Knicks are, and they made an addition. They got Josh Hart, did they not?
Yep.
Brunson's former teammate at Villanova. And I noticed tonight, I think he had 14 points off the bench in his Knicks debut. So anyway, but Miami, the Knicks, those are the teams there. So I would hope that the Cavaliers can really set their sights on, getting that 4 seed. But certainly no worse than 6, Ken. You don't want to be in that damn 7 to 10 playoff thing.
No, they gotta be
play
in the playoffs.
Thing, I guess.
Yeah. You don't want a play-in situation, and so with 22 games left, they've got to say this game for me Wednesday. I'm really curious to see how the Cavaliers play in this one because it's a barometer, right? Yeah, you're going to beat the Spurs. You're going to beat some of these cupcakes, and you're supposed to, and they've won 7 in a row, Reg, right? And that's great. You're supposed to beat those teams and get fat on the cupcakes in the NBA. Well, now, Reg, here's the way it shapes up. Wednesday at Philadelphia, and then it's the All-Star break. And then right out of the All-Star break, check this schedule out. Home against Denver, at Atlanta, home against Toronto, at Boston, home against Detroit, and home against Boston. So out of the break, you've got 6 games, and 5 of them are against playoff caliber teams.
Right.
And 3 of those 6 are against the top 2 teams in each division, or each conference. I'm sorry. And
the only one that you'd say is a gimme there, as you laid that out, is I would hope. I don't care if it's up at Little Caesars Arena or not. Beat the Detroit Pistons.
Right.
But the others, no gimme about any of those. So, coming out of the All-Star break, as you just laid out, is going to, I think that, 12 days with those 6 games going to go a long way to if the Cavaliers, as we're talking about, are going to be able to stay entrenched up in that 4-5 area at least. I don't, Kenny, if this thing, if they're really serious, I don't think they should be any worse than 5.
I agree.
And quite frankly, with the way, again, with Brooklyn now, the way they are, you can make a case now 4. Because I kind of thought before, the movement of Durant, and I guess Irving too, I thought, it wouldn't surprise me if Brooklyn grabs his 4 spot. You know?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, I can't see it. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie, but come on now. They're not the composition of their roster anywhere near what it was. I mean, you just got rid of Irving and Durant, man. I mean, so I would hope that the Cavaliers just take care. 22 games left, right? So if they could go 14-8. I don't. Do you think that's realistic? 13-9.
I'll take 12-10.
12-10,
which puts them at 50-32. I think 50 gets them the 4 seed.
You may be right.
I really do. I think 50 gets them the 4 seed. Because they are up 3.5 games on Brooklyn right now. They are up now 5 games on Miami and 5.5 on the New York Knicks.
Yep.
So you play 500 basketball, slightly above that, 12-10, 13-9, preferably. Okay. I think you get that 4 seed, and it'll be hard to catch Philly because of their experience.
Yes.
But I'm loving the Twin Towers, Reg. I'm loving tonight. Mobley, double-double, 15-10. Allen, double-double, 17-11. And the defense from those two, outstanding. Hell, even Darius Garland was playing defense tonight when they almost blew that huge lead. So if that continues to happen, that's extremely exciting to see. And Rubio's starting to, get into better game shape and everything.
Yeah.
And
make some shots, Ricky. I think tonight, Ken, he was hitting 26%. Since he's been back. So, okay, I'll give him a little bit of a pass. He's been out a long time, but his thing is always running an offense, facilitating, he usually finds a way to get 12, 13 points but, he's not a 3-point shooter per se. But since he's been back, he just hadn't been shooting the ball real well at all. So hopefully that will, he'll get more consistent there, but I think, that the bench, Kenny, the bench.
That's the weakness,
so Rubio,
right?
Karis LeVert, Jetty Osman, Dean Wade, and I don't believe Lamar Stevens played tonight, Ken. I don't think.
He did not. Nope, he was a DNP coach.
So I think Bickerstaff even said this, kind of alluded to this the other day, didn't he, on an off day after a practice? I think that rotation is going to go 9 now. So you got your 5 starters, LeVert, Rubio, 6-7, Wade, Osman, 8-9. I think, Kenny, that's about it. Am I missing anybody?
Well, Kevin Love is going to be interesting to see what happens the rest of this season with him. Right now, he's out of the rotation. Now, maybe that's his thumb and they're letting that heal. Don't know. I've got to believe somewhere along the way he's going to contribute, in a few games.
Would you rather they bought him out or no?
I think he can help in the locker room in the playoffs. So if you're going to pay him
make
either
a few
way,
shots though, Ken. He's got to make a couple of shots, and he hadn't been either. He's been atrocious shooting the basketball.
Yeah, but I think you keep him as insurance in case LeVert goes off the rails, because LeVert is hit or miss as well. LeVert is either on and it's lights out, or he's like 1 for 10, 0 for 8. He just, to me, I'm getting rid of him in the offseason, and I'm going to try and take Love's money and his money and go get me a wing coming off the bench, because he's too inconsistent for me, and Love's better years are behind him. So I'll hold on to Love the rest of this season and then, let him go. I just think as insurance, you hold on to somebody who's been there, done that, and maybe he gets healthier, for the stretch run and plays 8 to 10 minutes a night and gives you some rebounds and maybe hits a shot or two. That's what I'm looking. And he's the 9th or 10th guy. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's going to be the first guy.
Well, I just named you the 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
It's obvious right now. It's LeVert, Rubio, Wade, and Osman.
Yeah.
I laugh. The other night, they won the basketball game now. So I guess kudos to the starters. Do you know that those 4 bench guys went 1 for 16?
Yeah.
1 for 16 from the floor. I believe you could correct. I believe it was 0 for 9 from 3.
Yeah,
that was Rubio, LeVert, Osman, and Wade went 1 for 16 off the bench. Well, now, again, and, there's going to be nights like, okay, there's 1 for 16. I don't know nights like that. Now, there's going to be nights where everybody's having a tough time getting a shot to go down. But that's going to be a key part to watch as well. What kind of production are they getting from, because we're just saying it looks like it's going to be a 9-man rotation.
You know what? We're forgetting, Reg. We got to bring this up. Our bad. Danny Green.
Well, you got Danny Green coming in, yeah.
Yeah, so Kevin Love might get bumped down for Danny Green. Danny Green might
Love's
get some run.
You're right. He will. They'll put him in the rotation. Now, Love's not in it right now.
No, he's not.
So I don't know. Does he take Green is, Ken too, man. He's coming off.
Green's getting Wade's minutes, I think. That's
I think
where
you're right. And he's 36 years old. And, I remember the Cavaliers drafted him.
2009, right? I think.
2009.
Right? Yeah.
36 years old. He's been injured the last couple of years. He has had a reputation as a standstill shot maker.
3D guy, right?
Yeah, and plays defense too.
Yeah.
He's not a guy who's going to handle the ball and go create his own. That's not what he is. But, you can hopefully drive, draw, and kick, whether that's, I don't want Donovan Mitchell to give the ball up, but you know me with Darius Garland. I'm not, my thing about him.
He got picked a couple of times tonight. He's still careless with the basketball.
Why does he get into traffic and get so careless and turn the ball over?
I don't know. Drives me crazy.
And if that winds up killing the Cavaliers, we better not even have a show then. Because I'm gonna be telling you, I've been telling you so. Don't get me. I love the kid. He's a good basketball player. But Kenny, as a guy who's your point guard, man, you gotta be. He does some silly things with the ball. Right?
Want to know how many turnovers he had tonight?
I'm going to say at least 5.
He had 6 turnovers. He was a -6 tonight.
You tell everybody.
Points. Yeah.
Because people say, right guy, you're coming down on him too hard. That's too much. You can't have your point guard turning the ball over 6 times.
Against the worst team in the league.
Right.
Right. The Spurs, worst team in the league. Getting careless. Weak with the ball.
I don't care. I don't even know. I don't care if he scored 25. It doesn't matter.
No, I'm with you.
Doesn't matter.
100%.
You got to take care of the ball, man. The ball's in your hands. You are the lead guard. You can't turn it over 6 times.
No.
You just what might that have been? What might that have been against Milwaukee? 8?
Oh, boy. Yeah. Toronto, who gets physical with them, right?
Yeah. 8, 9?
Yeah.
Very easily. Come on now.
Yeah. Hey, before I forget, I wanted to ask you. Tell me if you like this comparison or not. Somebody asked me the other day on the Kenny and JT show, Donovan Mitchell, who does he remind you of, Roadman? And it took me a while, and then you said something earlier, the strength of Donovan Mitchell. Yes. And he's a flat-out scorer.
Yeah.
Do you see any world be free in Donovan Mitchell?
Sure.
I do, right? As I'm watching him more and more in his build and his size, I think World was maybe an inch or two taller, not much. But the legs and the elevation to finish at the rim, World could throw down with the best of them back in the day when he was with Doc and the Sixers, right?
Oh, yeah.
And before coming to the Cavaliers.
Right.
And I look at him and you know what? I see some world be free in Donovan Mitchell.
No, that's not bad. Let's going back a few. I mean, as far as backcourt guys that are in the league right now, I tell you again, and I'm not sure, Ken, he's even maybe 6'2", Donovan. But
with his shoes on.
With his shoes on, maybe.
Yeah.
But, man, you're right. He is so strong. I love the way that, as I said, I think a few moments ago, he uses his upper body so well to create shot space for himself. So, I've loved watching Donovan Mitchell this year, but Kenny, once the playoffs start, as you know, these games that are 115 to 110, Ken, you and I know we've seen it far too much every year. You could say what you want. That 115, 110 game will probably be 94 to 91.
Right.
Now, you can't be turning the damn ball over and coming up with empty possessions, Darius Garland.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
And then once the playoffs start. So, and keep finding ways to get, I'm cool with them getting the ball to both Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Go ahead. Let those guys get touches.
Yes.
That's right.
Don't make them an afterthought, man. Run the ball through them and go inside out, and that'll open things up for Mitchell and Garland and who's ever playing the wing position.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's obvious they're going to keep going with Isaac Okoro at the starter. As a starter, he's going. He went through a stretch where he hit about 42 or 3% of his threes, and that's great. But as I've said to people who've asked me about it, That's great. It's about overall consistency.
Yep.
He's got to continue to show this. Now, nobody's expected 42 or 43%, Kenny, but it better be at least 35%, which he's never done before this. So, again, and that's the way JB Bickerstaff wants to go. So I think even bigger reason, you got to get Allen and Mobley really rolling each and every game and make sure they get their touches, Ken, and tell them, we want you to go to work. Get on the blocks, come receive at the free throw line, turn, and let's go to work. Let's go to the hoop.
We're on the exact same page. Hey, Reg, before we get out of here, KD and Kyrie. So KD goes to Phoenix. He's hurt right now, but after the All-Star break, he may suit up and run with CP3, with D-Book, and with Ayton. How do you think he'll do there? And do you like Kyrie in Dallas? Do you think they got any shot with that backcourt, or there are not enough basketballs for two ball-dominant guards in Dallas?
Yeah, if I'm anybody else on that team, whether it's the three starters or a couple of guys that come off the bench, how much are you going to see the ball at all?
Right.
Because you got to think, Kenny, that there are going to be nights between Doncic and Kyrie, they take 45 to 50 shots, right? Between them. Yeah. Doesn't leave a lot for everybody else. I just don't know, again, if that's going to be able to sustain in the playoffs unless both of them are going for 30, 40 plus. But then even then, Ken, you still got to get a third and fourth offensive weapon there. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr., I guess, but his shot is inconsistent. So we'll see. I don't expect them to, honestly, to go deep in the West and win anything. But, we're more concerned about the East and how that's going to play out with the Cavaliers. But, again, let's hope that they can be either 4 or 5 at the very worst. But just don't get involved with that damn play-in thing. And what's that, 7 to 10?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you don't want that.
No, you can't fall below 6. So keep an eye every night, everybody, too. Keep an eye on, Miami and the New York Knicks, I would say. The Knicks won tonight because they beat
Here are the
Brooklyn.
scores. Knicks beat the Nets 124-106. Nuggets beat the Heat 112-108. And the
that was
Sixers
at Miami
winner over the Rockets. Yeah, it was on the road. You're right.
Yeah.
No South Beach flu for the Denver Nuggets, surprisingly.
No,
they're
they stayed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff right there. All right, Reg, this was fun. Football season over. Cavaliers gearing up, hopefully, for a playoff run. And before you know it, we'll be talking some baseball as the Guardians are going to try and defend the Central Division Championship this year with some new players on the roster. And we'll get into all that as baseball season gets closer and closer. Reg, always a pleasure, my friend. Enjoyed it.
Yep, right back at you, Kenny. Look forward to next time.
All right, thanks everybody out there. Thanks to our producer, Ty Courts. Great job as always, and we appreciate you for tuning in and checking out our podcast here, the R&R Podcast, powered by MGM Northfield Park.